Welcome to Terra Talks, where we talk about all things real estate. In each episode, we'll tackle current trends and topics of interest, both locally and regionally. However or wherever you decide to tune in, you're not going to want to miss this.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. I'm Hayden Hutton from Terra, Barbados, and I am over the moon to have Ryan DeVoe from Terra St. Lucia and Jean-Paul Demiac from Terra Trinidad here with us today, actually for the weekend for the 2024 Terra Caribbean Regional Conference. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Great to be here in Barbados with you guys.
So maybe what we would do is similar to what we did earlier today. It's just maybe one or two highlights on Trinidad market, one or two highlights on the St. Lucia market. I don't know who wants to go first. Just anything that comes to mind. Where's these sort of one or two things I really need to know about the Trinidad market?
Yeah, I would say the Trinidad market is quite different to your markets in that we cater mainly to Trinidadians and big corporate, right? So it was the oil and gas industry for the most part, letting up all of the office space in Port of Spain. That has changed significantly. In fact, we're starting to see vacancy rates actually lowering now after having climbed so much pre-pandemic and coming out of the pandemic.
Interesting.
So apart from the oil and gas industry, it's locals. We sell property to locals. Some of the challenges we continue to have, or developers continue to have, is producing product that is affordable. And we can get into that later maybe as to why exactly, where the issues lie in producing a product that Trinis can afford with combined incomes, Mm-hmm. The environment is very conducive to investing in real estate in Trinidad. Mortgage rates are low, banks are full of money, and the government has incentives for first-time homeowners, etc. But so I guess that's just like the tip of the iceberg as to how our market is a bit different to you. We sell to Trinis, you guys sell to the world.
Ryan, from your perspective, maybe just headline thoughts.
Yeah, I think, St. Lucia, predominantly, 60% of the economy, tourism. So at the end of the day, a lot of our activity is centered around, that tourism and the villa product. I mean, we manage 56 villas on the blue sky side. And then on the Terra side, we see a lot of expats buying in St. Lucia and also St. Lucians. A lot of interest in and around like waterfront property in particular, the marina. I would say at the moment we've seen a shortage of supply, so we're seeing prices beginning to rise. One of the exciting projects at home is the whole Cabot golf course, which has brought a very affluent clientele, and I think already we're beginning to see, spillover from that in terms of the houses on site, not yet having been built. Mm-hmm. But, persons have bought land, golf course is open, so they're coming. And as a result, renting villas, and now some deciding to buy.
Mm-hmm. So Ryan was kind enough to take us up to the peak of whatever that mountain or hill was we were on the other day, looking down on Cabot. And I just said to Christian from Trinidad earlier, absolutely fantastic. And I think you were saying that there are many Bajan golfers who are going over there to play and saying, well, actually, as a course, it really is exceptional, even to what we have in Barbados.
Yeah, I think it debuted at 76 in the world, which, one of the senior golf magazine personnel was just in St. Lucia and saying, Ryan, do you understand this does not happen? This does, do you understand how significant this is? And himself putting it in, top 5 of courses he's seen. I mean, he's seen quite a few. So I think it's a special course. It's a dramatic course.
Looks like a very difficult course to play to me. I mean, but beautiful, spectacular views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also then have some element of the commercial and so on. And I think the interest from Trinidad, JP came up, joined us last year for the fishing tournament. And that was just to, build our networks. And we have seen interest in some of our commercial property. I think more of that has been directed to Barbados. And St. Lucia, I think there are some opportunities at the moment. Some of the asking, typically we have a market where, established persons or families have property that don't need to sell. Mm-hmm. So the gap in terms of the economics versus asking price is perhaps still significant, but who knows? I think in due course that maybe.
So list prices are still.
Yeah, because it's not been historically a desire to sell. But you're now having these inquiries of, we would like to, move capital within the region. And so, trying to mesh now that interest with, finding suitable projects. And then, as JP would said, which is somewhat unrelated, but also to just build costs. If they're going to do like a development, mixed use condos and so on, can I develop a product that can then sell for this price? Is something else we're now looking at. Generally our construction costs, I would say in the region, are high. So
construction costs, single family residential dwelling in St. Lucia, a house in Cap Estate, US dollars, if you were building a 3,500 square foot house, what sort of rate per square foot? I mean, Barbados would probably start at 200 US, depending on the quality of what you were building.
Yeah, so we can build for more like 100, 150. I mean, it goes up, right? It goes up from there, but we can build from 100 or less.
100 US dollars a foot, in some cases less. Wow. What about in St. Lucia, Ryan? What's your sense?
Again, I mean, it's always a hard question to answer depending on the finishes and so on.
Yeah, so
right?
middle market housing.
I would put in at around the 150 US if we're talking.
Right.
And then the highest we've seen recently was at a 400 US. Very modern, a lot of electrical, etc. in the home. So that, I know that's a broad range. No, that's the high, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, the highs would certainly get up to 1,000 US quite quickly.
Right.
Interesting question. Most in demand in the Trinidad market, like what product would be most in demand? Is it, residential housing or a certain?
Yeah. So when I say 100 US, I'm talking about building for Trinidadians, right? So it's affordable housing, and the challenge that developers face, or one of the many challenges they face in producing an affordable product, is not only that construction cost, but the bureaucracy involved in bringing it to completion, right? And getting completion. So you've got, obviously you've got a difficult labor pool to deal with as well, but a developer comes to the table, buys a piece of land, borrowed money from the bank, buys a piece of land, then has to go through the process of getting approvals before he starts to build, right? So before he starts to build, he's on bridging finance. And then right through to the very completion certificate, the regional completion certificate. Before he gets that, he's got to get the WASA approval, the TNTAC approval, the fire approval. And the regulatory authorities just don't move as quickly as we would like them to, or the developer needs them to. So of course that drives up the cost to the purchaser, the end purchaser. And it's almost impossible to build something that the people can afford. So you ask, what is the high demand item on the market? Is affordable housing, call it. So 1.7 million TT dollars is a sweet spot for house and land, 5,000 square feet of land, 1,700 square feet of building.
250 US, roughly 250K US.
Thereabouts.
What about St. Lucia, Ryan? What would your sense be of just where that huge pent-up demand is?
I think again in that affordable, for our St. Lucian market, it would be that affordable home from 400 up to 700 EC.
EC.
So 150 US up to just under 300, I would say.
A lot of commonalities.
Yeah, and then as I say, for the expat market, like that condo type development in or around the water, in between 350 to 550 would be we see a lot of transacting in there. And then in the villa markets, again, most of our activity is 6 to less than $1 million US is where we see most of the activity. You have listings above that, but list times then can be quite a bit longer. So those would be, the different segments as I see it.
Biggest mistake most vendors make? People looking to list and sell their property. What's sort of a common one, JP, that
the most difficult thing for us is managing vendors' expectations, right? I mean, there's been a lot of money flowing in Trinidad for a long time, and people were getting what they asked for the most part, and any of their
list prices, they were getting the ask.
Getting the ask, and they could wait, and a lot of them can still wait. So they've come out of times where they were getting, call it $1 million US for a house. the market has changed, but they're still holding and hoping for $1 million US when the market is at 800, right?
So the vendors aren't moving with the market based on the advice.
Yeah, that's right. And for the most part, they don't need to. That's where they sit comfortably and they can wait.
Similar in St. Lucia?
I think so. I think, in particular, some of the higher end homes and so on, where, again, the activity at that end of the market just, typically there's not a lot. And even to, just talking to land prices, I use the example of, Cap Estate, and that the average selling price there is 23 EC a square foot, where I think most people would think it's a lot higher. That is the average. There's a range.
About 10 US.
9 US, 10 US. Whereas again, you're getting new listings and they're typically always higher. And, so then you have a discussion, okay, what's motivation to sell, timeline to sell, and the importance again of the data that we have. So you can present and say, here is the data set of what things have actually traded at.
Right.
This is the market. And then again, if you want to sit and wait, which some are happy to do, that's okay. But otherwise, if you want to sell within a reasonable time frame, this is where we will advise. And you see some that'll take the advice and some that won't. And as I say, perhaps they can, they're willing to wait. Or others sometimes get frustrated. Why am I not seeing any interest? Because they do want to sell,
but JP told you what's the right price. You didn't listen to what JP said. What about purchasers? Biggest mistake purchasers make. Vendors tend to list at their numbers because the neighbor told them they could get that, or their friend or family or colleague told them. What about purchasers, boy?
So buying is instinctive and emotional, and they get excited and they jump into it quite often without maybe being pre-qualified, without maybe selling what they have first, without really thinking it through. So we always drive people to the bankers first to ensure that they're qualified, that they're making good financial decisions before they start throwing offers out.
So they're not ready. They're not really ready. What do you think, Ryan?
I think similarly with the issue with financing and getting financing approved, we've seen that take quite a long time. And so if you have someone that, even in some cases when pre-approved, we see it take a while. But if you come to it without having done those steps, then we've seen it take a very long time, which can lead to frustration on the part of vendors, and or even then moving to reopening the property for other bids, which leads to an unhappy buyer, obviously, if they end up not being able to close, and or just very extended closing periods. Again, as I say, coming primarily from finance. We do have I would say the bureaucratic steps that you've mentioned as well, but generally you can plan for those within a month. I would say typically in St. Lucia those would work.
So you raised an interesting one, another good one to compare. In Barbados now, I think that we are probably somewhere closer to 4 to 6 months from offer to conveyance. Single family dwelling, straightforward sale. I think the off-the-shelf answer is 3 months.
Yeah.
But the reality is probably 4 to 6 months to get it done. What would it be in Trinidad?
Not as long in Trinidad. 3 to 4 months. They generally drag over, but not as long as you guys have.
I would say we do a 90-day close, which would be 3 months, and then you may go into a 4th month. If it's a St. Lucian buyer. If you're a foreign buyer, then we have the Alien Land Holdings license. And that process can take 4 to 6 months. So if it's an ALH up front, then you may extend that closing period.
What does that look like for anybody who's watching or listening?
The Alien Land Holdings process. So if you're a non-national, and national would be defined as including a CARICOM person, as long as we have reciprocity. So if a St. Lucian can go to, we're here in Barbados, come here to Barbados and buy without, we will honor, as a CARICOM national, you do not need a license. If you're outside of that, then you need the Alien Land Holdings license. That's a 2-step process. You get a certificate of eligibility, which says, they've done all the due diligence screening, and that, we've approved you to buy. And then once you decide on the property, you get the actual license. So it's a 2-step process. It was intended to be a 48-hour approval, but it has become more than that at this stage. And then once you have that, then you're able to proceed and move ahead with the close as a non-national person.
So we here for the weekend for a Caribbean conference, St. Lucia, Trinidad, Grenada, Barbados. We just had a bit of a small demo, a brief demo of the new cloud-based real estate system. Your thoughts, JP?
Amazing, man. Amazing. I mean, always cutting edge. I have to give you guys that. And we're very excited about it, about embracing this new technology to take our service level to the next level.
Yeah, no, very excited. I mean, we can't wait. If we can get it tomorrow, it'd be great. We've been waiting,
We're coming soon.
But it's coming soon. We're excited. I think it creates, significant competitive advantages, and the power of that, that knowledge, and then just being able to, as we say, inform our clients, so that they can make decisions from a position of knowledge and make, good decisions. I think it just helps enable that, and enables us to, share that information, share that knowledge with the market, with clients, etc.
Yeah,
agreed.
In a friendly, easy, user-friendly way.
Yeah, I was thinking this morning when we were in the room of the early days when Andrew and I started looking, and the thought is, well, you could go and get something from one of the US franchisees, see what system Caldwell Banker or Century 21 or any one of the Anywhere brands have. The decision back then to say, well, actually, why don't we go ahead and just build our own? But it's interesting just to think this morning, here we are in Barbados, 4 territories, with an in-house software development team building our own software, common platform across the region. Actually, is pretty cool.
Are we a real estate company or are we a technology company?
Exactly.
We're a little bit of both, huh?
So another fun one I thought we could talk about is what are the traits of the top producing agents in our office? What are the traits? We some time ago, I had done a matrix of our full team of agents, looking at their background. Do they have a university degree? Have they had another career in something else? Are they younger, sort of more of a TikTok generation where they adapt to technology quicker? Trying to find those themes of what really are the common themes present in a high-performing agent. And of course, there's no science behind it, but I'm happy to go first. I think discipline, drive, empathy, having that empathy for clients, both on the sell side and the buy side. So discipline, drive, empathy, and probably also a little bit of ego. Not necessarily ego in an arrogant way, but ego in more of a, you think I can't do it? I'm going to, as an underdog, go off and show you that I'm going to do it. What do you think? I mean, as you think of your team and the ones that really produce well.
Yeah, so it comes down to relationships, and it's support, offering support, having the information, being willing to share it, being open with your client and your customer. And I always say, service first, put the service first, and everything else will follow. And that's what we do well. That's what we do well. We hold hands with the customer, we walk them through the process, show them everything that's available, and they make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm. What's your sense, Ryan?
I agree with all of that you've said as well. The relationships for sure, the discipline. I think to just knowledge, right? Sometimes, you sit.
That's what we come back to.
You have clients that come into a market, in our case at least, as I say, we have a large percentage of our business that's from outside, expat. And just, being able to quickly, I think, trust that the advice they're getting, or that, you're guiding them appropriately. And then that just spreads, you get referrals and your network continues to grow. And then come back to the point on discipline, just the service, following up, doing what you say you're going to do, etc. I think, just sets you apart. Mm-hmm. And it sort of then feeds on itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Sirhan says that the 3 F's the agents have to. They have to follow up, follow through, follow back. And I think he's quite right. There's a simplicity in that he's quite right. So maybe in closing, because I'm just watching the time, there are a few myth busters that I don't think Charlie's in the room, but they do these myth busters where you state a myth and you have to say, is it true or is it just a myth? So maybe the one that I would ask you, JP, is it true that we're the same person?
I say true.
Is it true? You say true? I say not.
Absolutely not.
I got you.
Before we go, so I wanted to say that the Trinidadians have always shopped outside of Trinidad, right? And continue to do so. And I think the regional presence really does a lot for us offering regional packages, right? Or regional property to Trinidadians. So anybody who may be watching who has property in Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, income generating assets, or maybe just properties have been sitting on their books for a while that they need to get something done with it. Bring it to the team, bring it to any of our team at Terra Caribbean regionally. We can package this, offer this to the right individuals in Trinidad, and you may be pleasantly surprised at the interest you get in your local market.
It's a point well made. I think of some of the regional clients for whom we all work, be it a Massey, a company for whom I know you guys have had great success in Trinidad recently. We've acted for them here, or whether one of the larger insurance companies, some of the larger Trinidad water bottling company that you have in St. Lucia as well. And I think there are many of them. It's a point well made. Larger regional clients that we should remind that we're here and can provide that forum to market their properties. Anything else you wanted to mention? You told me something earlier you wanted to mention. You forgot?
Well, I wanted to know, I mean, I have to say I was quite surprised that Barbados can produce such good-looking men like yourself, Hayden.
Well, as a former male model, I have to acknowledge what you've said, and thank you for that. But actually, I'm a Trini.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Guys, a real pleasure to have you all in Barbados here with us. We should do more of this, and we plan to do that in the coming months. So stay tuned for more content from Barbados, Trinidad, and St. Lucia, Terra Caribbean. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks for having us.